this, you need to have a good inventory to back all of that up, so that folks like me don't get confused and rip my hair out when you send me applications for things, which we'll get to in another section. But welcome. We also, of course, have Kara and Mary on the wings here and on the TV, which will be taking through various kind of website things. So as a quick overview, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into a program called Airtable, which is an inventory management system. And then Sam, what's on your docket for showing us today?
So we're going to talk about building websites too. So we'll be exploring a couple of different website platforms that we all use. So at DaVinci we use Squarespace. I also use Squarespace for a couple of different freelance clients that I still work with. And then I use Cargo Collective for myself. So I'll be taking us through those two systems. And then Mary and Kara both use completely different platforms from us.
I use other people's pixels. And I can run through and sort of show you what that looks like on the back end so that you have an idea if it's something that works for you. It's useful if you are challenged with time and or technical skills because it requires very little effort. You have to pay for it.
And then Kara, what are you going to be talking about today?
Yeah, so I'll be talking a little bit about Wix, which is another platform that you can use to build a website. And so I'll be showing you some of its features, and also, if there's time, talk a little bit about how, if you're interested, you can add a store to your website and drop shipping.
So where do we want to start? We're going to start with website stuff, or do we want to start with inventory stuff? What do you think?
Let's do inventory first.
Inventory, all right, then
I
that's
think that
me.
makes sense because once you build your inventory and organize everything, then it's easier to put all of us.
That's true. All right, so I am going to be talking about Airtable for a bit here, and then I am going to simultaneously share my screen, which is this one, optimized for video. Excellent. So this is Airtable. Airtable is a web-based program that has multiple tiers, which do have paid options, but for anything you're probably doing, you don't need to do that. Unless you are a video artist and have huge files, you're probably not going to run into that paywall anytime soon. So what we're looking at right now is effectively a spreadsheet that has a lot of features and a lot of quality of life improvements that make it significantly better than like Google Sheets or Excel. For a lot of different reasons, and some of those kind of cool tricks where you can get really good at them and like do cool formulas and things like that to hopefully alleviate the amount of work that you have to do in manually editing lots and lots and lots of data. So right now we are looking at my personal inventory. DaVinci does use Airtable to run a huge amount of its backend data software. But I also use it for my own kind of personal painting practice. So right now, I have a lot of paintings and they exist at home, in my studio, in other galleries, somewhere being handled by a postman somewhere, I don't know. And I need to keep track of what all of those are, what I tell other people that they are worth and what their titles are, what their sizes are, and actually keep those digital JPEGs or any other digital file all in one place so that I don't have to have it on a single computer or thumb drive that I could lose or could get coffee spilled on it or anything. This is all effectively digital and it runs in browser so you can access it anywhere. This is a fully kind of built out Airtable, and I'll kind of point out a few things here, what I'm looking at here and how I've personally set this up, and it's endlessly customizable, so you can set this up in a slightly different fashion or a radically different fashion, whatever works for you. So what I have here is a bunch of different columns and rows. So right now I have one artwork, one painting in my case, that is represented by a single row. So that's a horizontal segment here. So this top one right here, I have an artwork title column in which the artwork title here is called Forecourt Haruhi, which I can then edit endlessly if I want to. Or not. Oh. And I also have the next field over, which is probably the most significantly relevant field that I can just kind of make a little bit bigger to see, is this is an attachment field. An attachment allows me to drop a file into this segment and then open it up and check it out. So that's actually a file, an image photo of a painting. And I can just kind of thumb through here and I can see some other photos that I have of the same piece and where it was on the wall recently. And those are all in there. And if I can download it. Yes, you have a question.
I do.
Yes.
Do those images in that space have information in them that tells you the size, pixels per inch or whatever, the DVI and the size of the file itself, so that when you're applying to things or putting things into an application, like for instance, for me, all the time, like different applications come up with different size images, and I'm constantly dragging things into Photoshop and resizing them and blah, 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 blah. But there's a fear, because I'm disorganized, that things are getting like, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to send somebody like the low res file when you meant to send the
When I
high
could
res
have sent a
file.
higher res file.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
Or
we're gonna-
resize something and accidentally save it that way, then you lose your large
and then you
file.
lose your larger file, and then when you're, or then you're trying to make, it's just,
Yeah, so what you're able to do on all of these is just immediately download them. So these exist in the cloud, but there does not exist like a panel that jumps up like kind of on the side here that says, you know, this is 300 DPI. And so what I would do in your case is I would either label them differently so you can see them really clearly here, or I would make a whole nother section that's this column could just be like low res photos and then high res photos, and then you just have both, and you
And
just
there's, and
always
it's
have them there.
limitless how many photos you can put into that,
Um,
not limitless.
yes, it's effectively limitless. Your highest cap is something like 50 gig. It's like, or no, it's like 200 gigs. It's like a really huge amount of data, which unless you just have 1,300,000 res massive billboard size photos, like you're not going to hit them anytime soon.
And then,
We have the paid version of Airtable that we
Okay.
use for our
That was my
backend for
next
the
question.
gallery.
Yeah.
And one of our bases recently got too big. Oh my god. Sorry. I was at the park earlier. And there was pollen living in my throat now.
That's what
I was Mary's excuse too.
Yeah, don't go outside.
But yeah, we recently, like, after like, is there reverb? Sorry, I was like, what did I just hear? Recently we had to like cut some stuff down. But that's after like 5 years of us, like every single show we have ever had at the gallery, and we have like 30 shows a year.
Yeah.
So like, let's say like roughly 1,000 pieces at the very minimum are in our archives.
Okay, the free version of Airtable has how much storage? Or is there a free version?
There is a free version. I have a free version right now on my personal account here. It is a massive amount.
Okay.
You're never gonna hit it unless you do video work, then you might. But don't worry about it.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, so moving on here. So I was just gonna mention that if you need some of these files, and you can just hit download right over here. And then you can have that on your local drive, and then you can, throw it into whatever you need, either an email or you need to build a website right after this, and you actually need that JPEG. That's what you do here. Otherwise, they can just live forever on this website. And then this is just kind of the rest of the information that I thought would be relevant for organizing my life and where all these paintings live. So this medium's oil on canvas, I made it in 2022. This is the price, where it is, it's sold, the dimensions, where it currently is in the world right now, and then like where it's been in the past. That's kind of relevant for me. And you can just endlessly add on various things to this. So I'm going to then make a brand new table and show you what this looks like from the start. And so this is where it's entirely empty, and I'll show you how you actually build these things. And so it's all pretty intuitive. Basically what you do is you come to these top sections and you hit this little down arrow, and then you want to basically customize what this field does. And you have a lot of different options of kinds of fields. For instance, if I wanted to track email lists for people, I would have this little email thing, and I would probably call this email and hit yes, and then I could endlessly collect people's emails in this little field here. But I think structuring this as an artwork inventory system makes the most sense to talk about right now. So I'm going to say this is going to be my artwork title, and not going to make it an email section because that wouldn't make any sense.
If you did do an email set, I guess you would just highlight all of them to transfer them, like you wanted to do a newsletter.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Or-
just copy paste them.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, absolutely. And so there's lots of different things that you could do and keep track of here, but for the sake of putting in some text, I can just do a single line because that's all I'll need for this. And then I can just have my artwork titled painting number 1. And that's the title of my painting. And we can come to this next field, and I don't really need a notes section. That probably doesn't help me right now. But I do probably need a media. And so I'm going to make this media, and media sections kind of don't tend to be that long for me, at least. So I'm going to, again, make it a single line text. If you are someone who likes to document every single piece that has ever touched that piece of artwork, and you have incredibly extensive medium list, then I might just do this long text, which is better formatted for rich text formatting. So you can have like line spaces and things like that, which is why that's kind of handy. But I don't really need it right now. So I'm going to have my media attachment, and I'm going to say that this is oil on canvas. Nice and easy. My attachments, that's what I was talking about earlier. For this section, I'm going to say that this is probably more useful. Just call these photos, and then I can drag and drop. Let's find a photo somewhere that exists on my computer. Let's see. Nope. No, that's teaching stuff. We don't need that. Here we go. Here's a painting of a tiger that I made. And I'm just going to drag this and put it in there. There we go. There's my tiger friend. So it's uploading right here as this thing spins here. There you go. There's my tiger who's slowly making his way onto here. And so now I can look here for them. Excellent. And that's not significantly relevant to just JPEGs. I could use any sort of digital file, whether it's an MP3, an MP4, a TIFF file, anything you want that is a file that you can just drag around somewhere on your desktop. You can equally drag it into one of these attachment fields, and you can add multiple ones. And so you can see in this one, I had lots of different photos. So for instance, on this painting that I have here, I've got kind of my standard shot and then a couple of details. I can just keep them all together so they don't get kind of confused. And I come back to this other table that I've been working on here. Figure out what else I need. So I'm gonna keep making my table here. But is there anything that y'all in the audience think would be relevant information to track that I might not foresee or use in my inventory database that you might have relevance in yours?
I was wondering if you have separate, can you have multiple of these
Oh, yeah.
tables? And then do you have a separate table for your artist statements and stuff like that?
I can, yeah.
Your
So
resumes?
let's say I want to make a new one, and I can say, and then I can say, this is going to be my CV. my attachment is over here, and I could just drag and drop like a PDF or a Word file, whatever it is. Yeah, Scott, what's up?
Did you have one that was like, maybe shipping or packing instructions? Cause I feel like for school for work, like, you have the work, the pricing is here, and it can also be like tips for packing or like a document that is based on like how to ship and install.
Yeah, absolutely.
Installing too.
So if it was a file that already existed, like you just had like a PDF of it, I would add another attachment file and, you know, label that like shipping instructions, and then you just have that here in another column. Or if you just have the text itself, I would probably make this long, rich text enable thing, and then I would say, name that something about instructions for install. And then what I can do there is I can expand it and I can type whatever I want. So number 1, do this. Number 2, give me number 1. And all of this can just exist forever down here. And you can just copy and paste all of that into an email or whatever you need to do. And it can just live here. And even though this appears to be only one line, it's actually not, as you expand it. So that's kind of the difference between a long text box and something over here, which is like a single text, where it doesn't allow me to expand it anymore because there's no little blue arrow thing that hits expand right there.
I was wondering, I guess this is maybe not a question about the tool, but I was trying to figure out if I should be tracking who I sell work to.
Yeah.
I kind of dropped the ball on that early, but recently it was like, oh, that would have been useful.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
terms of like email, like is that standard that you folks generally do that?
You don't always know, it depends on.
If you know, great.
Yeah, if you know, it certainly couldn't hurt to keep track of it if you know. A lot of galleries and institutions view that as proprietary information because having a exclusive list of donors and collectors is something that keeps galleries and institutions afloat often, especially because they're splitting costs with you as an institution and an artist.
I'll just say for the record though, we don't hand out information, but it's not because we're like, no, we're the only seller of your work. It's we are not legally allowed to share that information. Yes, so.
So it would only be if you're selling it directly, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Some institutions will let you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
does that, it sounds to me that then it's not actually really important to track if you don't.
I think it's good to know collectors.
Okay.
If you do know, like, Anna, you do like more markets and stuff, right? Or am I lying? I feel like you had like your studio sale recently.
I did, yeah, I have a studio sale.
So I feel like if you're doing like direct things like that, where you're like building a relationship with someone, it's good to know about those people because those people are usually repeat customers and will come back like next time you have a studio sale if they know about it.
All right, so you have unlocked a more elaborate question than you possibly realized. And so now we're gonna do next level stuff here. So this guy, yeah, you didn't know it was gonna happen. So this is Brian Gersh, he's a collector, you didn't know it. And my email can live here. And you can say, he's great. Very rich. Excellent. So what I'm actually going to do is come back to our original table here, and then I am going to link to another record. So I'm going to come down to my, here, I'll slow that down here because it was one of the aforementioned next level moves here.
Oh.
So I'm going to link to another record. And we made that collectors tab up there, which you can see it over here. And I'm going to click this, allow linking to multiple records, create field. We actually don't need more than one. And so what I'm going to do is, oh, look, that's that collector Brian Gersh.
Oh my God.
Look at that. He's great. He's rich. And then if I want to, like, I can just quickly like look at this. It expands. And you can see there's this little line that goes over here because it shows me where it is. And I can see all the things that I added about it. So this is. That's a real email, so now it links. and I can see what that amazing collector Bryant Gersh bought. So it looks like Bryant Gersh both bought and made this tiger painting, and he's rich. And I can just have that information.
You could also do that for galleries.
Oh, yeah,
too,
absolutely.
which will
Or
show you whether or not they were selling work and also what kind of work they like.
yeah, absolutely. And then simultaneously on this other tab, it shows here that it's linking back to my inventory and that this guy bought painting number 1. Or if I, let's say, had my phone number, and now you can endlessly harass Bryant Gersh by phone. And there you are. So these are just kind of interesting ways that is things you can like technically do in Excel or can technically do in Google Sheets, but they're really hard to learn and they're really annoying to work with. This is a lot more kind of streamlined, and especially useful for artists. And so you'll see Airtable used in a lot of like nonprofit sector stuff.
I wanted to follow up, Morgan, with what you said about like holding on to like CVs and stuff. I don't think Airtable is the correct system for information like that because it's being edited all the time. So this is more for data that you're storing and like manipulating like maybe other information with it, but it's not a living document. I use Dropbox to host like, I have like a professional folder and I have like a couple of copies of my CV of like my like extended CV and then like the 2-pagers or whatever. And like my resumes and like all of the like kind of like things that like I need to change every once in a while. And sometimes I'll be on my phone and need to send it out. So I still want to be able to access it. And it's
That's
not just
why-
living on my computer.
Okay. But
That's why it lives in Dropbox. So like, because also like I used to, at my old job, when I was freelancing, I was on like 5 different computers a week, depending on like which person I was with. So if I was like trying to like grab that info in like that moment, if it was on my laptop, I didn't have access to it. So
Or
Dropbox
if
gives you,
traveling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
just having- Yeah.
and then it's
something
also like,
that-
it feels safer to me because I'm like, okay, if anything happens to my computer, I don't have to worry about it because it's living somewhere else, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, like, I use Dropbox. Now that Bryant did this walkthrough, I'm like, oh, I should probably move my inventory system to Airtable. I've just been like strong-headed about it. So like everything for me lives on Dropbox and I just have like a bunch of folders with different
And you
resolutions
can
for
edit,
each.
and you can edit in Dropbox?
No, it's just like where I host the files.
Okay.
Yeah,
But you could theoretically do the same thing here because you could download those files and edit them
yeah,
if they're Word documents.
If
Yeah,
they're
it's
any
just like,
document, yeah.
you're gonna have to re-download it all the time. So if it's like something that you're
Is
like,
that not true with Dropbox?
no, you can always open it and it just, when you save it, it saves back into the Dropbox.
Got it.
Yeah, so.
Mhm.
I didn't really know that.
Could you theoretically link to a live document from a Google Drive in here? Like,
No, but you can't do that. Yeah, that's the one thing that Dropbox can do that Airtable can't.
And I did want to bring up, because we are talking about newsletters later. Bryant did not show the other side of this, which is that we're looking at the spreadsheet side. We can also turn this into what looks like a Google form or like for like people to sign up for a newsletter or something. So like every time you apply to something like a show or something for Da Vinci, it's the app, what we're looking at is this side of it. Whereas your application looks like your application that you're like filling in information. So when Bryant is done, he can show you
Oh, so
that.
if you send out, okay, yeah.
Which is like you see on the left-hand side at the bottom, there's like a create and it says grid, form, calendar,
Yeah.
gallery. The grid is like the actual like in all of the information that makes up the other end of that, but like the form fills out the grid. So like if Bryant made a form
Yeah, so-
based on this spreadsheet,
Okay.
this is what like the other side is. So like, let's say if you had an event that you wanted people to sign up to register for, like the event today that you all, some of you, most of you registered for, saying that you were coming here. That's what Ronnie made, was like, this is the back end of that.
For the there was one that said gallery. Is
Oh,
that
yeah, I was
to
kind
make
of-
a gallery of your images, but then can you email it out or like
Yep.
what? Okay.
Yeah, so if I wanted to do that, make a little gallery, so it's a quick view here.
And that's like when we, the member catalog that we curate the invitational membership shows, this is what we look at to curate those shows. It's the gallery of all of your work in one place.
Like that.
Yeah.
And then but here's my question. If you were to email that out, how does it appear?
So you would
Or is
just
it
hit the
already-
share view button right
Okay.
there.
So yeah, there's a few ways you can do it, but the quickest way is share view. And I'm gonna make a link.
Okay.
So that's a link. I'm gonna copy and paste that into a browser.
It's like a Google Drive thing.
Yep.
But this is nice, like if you wanted to do like
Oh, nice.
maybe like a show that you're curating with some of your friends' work, you can basically make a form for them to like send you over like their work. And it can all be held in one space instead of like everyone throwing it into like an email together.
Yeah, and so you notice up here in this shared view, you don't have any of the other information that exists up here. This is what I'm seeing in the background because I own this, but this is what I shared. And so you
Right.
don't have all of that rest of the stuff. This is only showing this one singular thing.
And they can't get anywhere else.
Nope.
And you
No.
can filter it by work that's like available and work that's not available.
Yeah. So you notice the sort and filter functions as well as a
Right.
search up here. So if I wanted to search for cyborg, there's your cyborg painting,
Okay.
you know, your standard one. Otherwise, I could search or I could
Standard
filter,
cyborg.
you know, your standard thing. So let's say I want to have a search or I want to have a filter condition here. So let's say that I want to search for paintings made in 2022. There they are. And if I don't want to look at that anymore, you just delete this. And now they're all back. Or let's say I want to sort them by medium. And now they're all A to Z. So now I've got ballpoint pen drawing. So B is starting up here. And all the way at the bottom is O for oil painting. Yeah, so it's really easy to just like share a large collection of work with someone else. And
It just makes everything a little easier.
yeah, and you can kind of extend this to, let's say, applying for shows and opportunities, because I know that can be really complicated when there's a lot of those things. So I can say, in progress. Oh,
Right, or you could say like, or you could have like the dates that something's gonna be available again.
yep. So let's say, or I also want to say what I applied to that show with. So I'm gonna link to my artwork inventory. And that, so let's say I applied to the summer open call at Da Vinci Art Alliance, or I plan to, and the due date is the 16th of June. I haven't found out yet because that due date hasn't happened, so it's in progress. And I applied to the show with this painting of a face, and there it is.
Can you add another one? Can you?
Yep.
Okay.
I
And then will
applied
it show
also
you
with,
both of them?
yep.
Okay, oh, I see, yeah, cool, okay. Good.
Yeah, and like honestly, I would maybe like, let's say if you applied with 3 works, I would probably like copy that line and do it 3 times because like one of the 3 may get accepted. So you want to still keep on file. Like if you're tracking your rejects and your accepted ones, you want to like have that separated.
Oh, you
so
mean have
know.
like artwork inventory status, artwork and inventory status, perfect, like that.
Oh, I'm saying that whole line, do it 3 times with the specific work from the
Oh, okay.
inventory.
So summer open call, summer open call, summer open call.
Oh,
one,
got
two.
it, got it.
With
Yeah.
the specific
The
piece, so
full
like
thing,
if
yeah.
like the face got selected, but not the cyborg, then you wanna know which one got in and which
Yeah.
ones did, if you're tracking rejects.
Yeah, so I just duplicated that field, and so maybe that due date had passed, and this one got rejected and this one got accepted.
Yeah, got it.
You can
Cool.
keep track of things.
And then like you can do a copy of this in the left-hand side again, so Bryant can duplicate the grid view and like you can just like filter it so you only see the accepted ones or only see like things that are currently out. Like it, you can really manipulate what information you're looking at.
Got it, okay.
And you can have like, it's kind of like,
How did you copy the grid?
Oh, I just had another grid down here. And since all of the information that's in this tab here, it's all connected while
Okay.
you're in this tab. And so if I have a separate grid,
It's still showing it.
it still gives me all the same information, it's still accessing it. It's just organizing it in a slightly different way. So in this grid 2 here, I made a filter that only shows me work that was
Yeah.
accepted.
Can you name the grids?
Yep.
Okay.
Or if I want, not this, but I want to have this one grid always sorting by due dates, and the due dates, sort this way.
Gosh, this is gonna be such a time suck to get into this.
Or like, oh yeah, so it's kind of go this
like
way.
once
I'm
it's
not an
all,
artist anymore, I'm just an irritator.
Yeah,
but once it's like all built, it's like easy. I'm very happy we use Airtable to track all the data that we track with it. But it is time consuming.
I don't mean that
Like-
in that way, I think it's probably easier than anything else you could use, I just mean,
Yeah.
I have so much to organize.
Yeah.
I have a different artist inventory system that I use and it's like dog crap. Compared to this, I'm like, what?
And this is also free, like Brian's showing the
Yeah.
free version,
Yeah,
so.
that's crazy, yeah.
Have you ever used Monday.com?
I have.
Almost the same, that's also free, it looks a little different, so I guess kind of depends on what's appealing visually.
Oh, I thought that was like, is that project management?
It's a link, but it's a spreadsheet, it's a beautiful spreadsheet with all these drop downs and link and forms and.
Mhm.
I was looking at Monday last year when I started this job, but we already have this system, so then I was like, well, I'm gonna change the whole system because I'm new.
It started.
But it
proper
looks
pricing, though.
beautiful, yeah.
It's very pretty. It's got more colors and stuff, but I guess it depends if it appeals or not, like this is very straightforward and nice, and like I'm thinking maybe I like this better.
If you hate that blue color, can you change this thing?
Yep.
You can?
I hope so, I hate the blue color.
I
Oh,
really don't
actually,
like
that's
it
so much
either,
better.
yeah.
There.
That is my.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this whole thing exists in what's called a workspace here, and I've got my green bug here. But I can make another one if you have a whole nother system that you need to figure out that's entirely unrelated.
Brian, you're telling me I could have an Airtable for my work and an Airtable for student work?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Not alright.
Yeah, so now I'm back to here, and there's like, there are so many crazy complicated things that I do in Airtable, like logic formulas and automations that can like send automated emails out to people or notify things, connect to other apps. You can post to Twitter if you really wanted to, and various kinds of documents that kind of self-generate themselves based on your stipulations.
How do you learn how to do all that? Are you like other YouTube videos?
Yeah. Airtable has a very like kind of extensive video tutorial section, which you can learn or read about.
Yeah, and like, even when they don't, it's like pretty intuitive, like there's some stuff that we just figured out, like a trigger to email people when they like apply so that they get a notification saying thank you, because our Airtable doesn't automatically do that. So people would constantly be emailing us being like, did you get my application? And be like, yes, that's why you got a thank you notice when you originally applied, but because they didn't get an email confirmation, they like didn't trust it. So now we like, the only problem is now we have to do a manual automation for every time we do that, and we always forget to set the automation up. So now people are like, well, I didn't get the email this time and I did last time. But yeah, that just took like, I don't know, probably like 30 minutes of Bryant like poking around until he figured it out. So
I feel like he's probably quicker than most of us.
I've been working with this for a while, but it's truly not,
It's not hard.
it's really not that hard to get onto that learning curve. Like Excel is horrendous.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm fairly tech literate. That thing is abomination to technology. Never use that. I feel bad for like business people who live in an office world and like have to use those softwares. Horrible sin against humanity. So like an automation, for instance, I'm setting up an automation that when a form is submitted, so let's say that I'm Mike and I want my students to submit their artwork when they're done with it, and they turn it in via a form that I created that auto populates into a spreadsheet, which then I have.
It's a beautiful fancy word.
Yes, yeah. Stay with me here. This is a hypothetical situation. So I actually, in order to do that, I am going to artwork inventory, select a form, my form that I called form, and it's going to run an action, and it's going to send an email.
Oh.
And so the subject, actually, so let's say if I had a field that was in my artwork inventory form was an email, I could then auto populate that email into here. I kind of don't have one right now, but you could just quickly link things together where it's always going to come from you, and then it'll email back the person who stipulated, as long as they type their email in correctly, or then it'll email back to them, and then you can autofill hello blank, and then it will autofill with that person if they put their name in of what that says, so it looks like you sent a real email, and then it can even spit out information like a receipt pertaining to thank you for submitting painting number 1, and then they can go on to talk about other things that you guys say, etc. So yeah, any other immediate questions about Airtable? Because I've been taking up a lot of oxygen talking about Airtable.
It's all, oh my God.
Too much information.
Yeah, went through that quick. But there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of resources that already exist to learn this.
Kara and Ona at home, do you have any questions about Airtable?
No, I don't have any questions. I'm glad to know that, I'm glad you did this, Bryant, because I do use Excel for other stuff, but this looks like it has so many different added features, and it's like more dynamic than Excel, and so I'll have to try this. So thanks for sharing.
Yay.
Cool. All right.
Wait, Ona unmuted.
Oh,
Hi. Unfortunately, I didn't join this until 1:30 or so. It's fascinating, but it's way over my head.
that's okay.
My late 70-year-old head brain. But no, I was trying to follow it. It looks great, but
Yeah, I would say if you're interested, go to airtable.com. You basically just like give them your email, make a free account, and poke around in it. You can check out some like quick tips that'll automatically start coming up, which I have disabled on my account right now. Maybe those will be helpful. You can even check out the video tutorials, and if you get past all of that and want to email me a question, you have permission to do that.
thank you.
You're welcome. I feel like we're in like a called hotline talk radio show.
I'm gonna unshare you.
All right, great. So now we're going to talk about website stuff. So after you theoretically already built and organized all of your inventory database, it would be great to also build a website, because that's also a thing that artists do. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. Sam, do you want to launch into your one first?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question really quick?
Yeah.
So are people still building websites, or are they mostly using like Instagram
I think,
Depends who you ask.
I think both.
I think it's important to have
I
a
think you
website,
should
and I
have a
don't have one, yeah. I mean, I have one, but I don't really have one.
Yeah,
But
so
it's something people ask for a lot.
I would say as a gallery director, I looked at someone's Instagram to get a vibe, and then I look at their website to see it spelled out.
Okay,
Um,
that makes sense.
yeah, cause like you wanna see like up close shot, you know, like not everyone has like good photos on Instagram. And like I'll look at both, like there's some artists where like we were just looking at an artist yesterday who like his Instagram has mostly woodworking, but his website has mostly printmaking. And you kind of need both for him specifically. Yeah, and I don't know, like people have different practices too. Like I always think it's funny when someone has like 4 different Instagrams when they just because they have like 4 different practices. But like on a website, you can like break that down, you know?
Yeah, like if you wanted to share like your artist statement and your CV, Instagram is really not the place for that. And if you want to, end up in Google and be able to quickly have people find you and really get a deep dive into your work, and you want to have an Instagram and post a photo of what you're cooking tonight, like those kind of things are incongruent. No.
So I'm gonna go over 2 different websites, and then Mary, are you already set up on Brian's computer?
I am not set up, we're gonna have to do.
Okay.
Here, I'm not doing
So why
anything
don't
right
you-
now. so
Yeah,
can
why don't
come
you
here
set
and do
up,
stuff.
and then Tara, whenever you're ready, we can share your screen for Wix.
Okay, sure.
So, yeah, like I said at the beginning, I'm gonna go over Squarespace a little bit and Cargo Collective. I'm not gonna go as in-depth with either of them as Bryant did for Airtable, just because I think it's more so what we wanted to show was like the back end. So you get like a basic understanding of what like each of these websites offers. Just because it's kind of annoying to have to like make a whole account just to like figure out if you like something. So look at our accounts. Clearly I'm not Michael, so this is not my account. This is one of my clients, Michael Frichette's account. Please don't tattle on me that I'm
Hang
showing
on, we're
this.
gonna do this.
Oh,
Does this work?
yes, but you're about to unplug the microphone if you do that.
Plug it back in.
Oh, wait, do it almost like this. Sorry, people at home that, oh, you can see the videos. Okay, never mind, sorry. Technical problems.
We sure that adapter works.
I use it all the time. Okay. I don't know. Maybe Mary, are you already in the back end?
With the site,
Okay, so why
Put it
Why don't
on
we-
my computer.
yeah,
with a site like other people's pixels. Can you have already
so go
bought
back
a domain
to Zoom.
Yes,
name and then just plug it and then plug?
yes,
it
you
in?
can go both ways.
Okay.
So if you don't have something, they can, I think they have hosting options.
Oh, okay.
But if you already have
your
something.
domain name, you can put it in.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Mary,
here-
do you wanna open back up Zoom? Just because I'm sharing my screen for people at home.
yes, okay. Zoom, so I'm sharing, right?
No, I'm sharing. You're sharing onto the TV, but I'm sharing on Zoom. So people at home are seeing my screen.
Okay.
So we
Also
wanna
share.
see Zoom on the TV.
Okay. Where's,
The right hand side.
yeah,
So Zoom. Okay, why don't I stop sharing and we'll have Mary go first. Brian, can you help me?
oh,
So
this
that,
here.
yeah.
Okay, got it, okay.
So then hit share screen.
Sorry, I this is like, every time I have to use a PC, I'm like,
Oh, no, I feel you.
okay.
Okay,
What? Yes.
That work, yeah?
yeah,
Yeah, that works.
so just click here.
Yeah.
And then there you're,
Okay, so I'm doing it
Okay.
now, right?
yes,
Yeah.
okay, sorry, Ona and Kara, and anyone watching the YouTube live.
Okay, so this is other people's pixels on the back end. This is my website here. What I would tell you about this is Morgan, you were talking about something that was like, that would have a minimal amount of work involved. So the one thing that I really like about this, it costs, it's not cheap.
Okay.
But it is,
But
and,
what's not cheap? Like, is it $1,000 a year or is it like?
no, how much is it?
Low hundred.
$16 a month.
Oh, that's.
So
okay.
it's not like,
It's
but
not cheap, but it's not cheap.
exactly.
It's like 4 copies.
Right, it is totally worth it. I mean, you can do a website for cheaper, obviously, but the nice thing about this is that it is very, it's super simple, it's pretty rigid. It doesn't have a ton of, so here's super simple navigation options. You can, it has like a certain fixed format. Let me go back. You can see here, there's welcome page, news page, links page, flex page. So that's something that's like maybe a little, if that's not in their standard format, you can add a flex page, but there's not a lot of wiggle room, which I really like. It's super clean. It's super minimalistic.
So wait,
Yeah, I'm gonna show you what my website looks
But
like.
the PDF, so the PDF pages would be like gallery pages.
PDFs is like, I have,
That's PDF links.
yeah, so you can do, it's like your CV usually.
Okay.
But if you could use it for press.
Okay. But where do you keep your images? What kind
So
of
here,
page would you put your images on?
So I'm gonna show you here,
Okay.
manage artwork. So I have, it's really simple. If I want to add an image,
Wow.
I just browse,
This is Brian's. work.
Yeah,
put some of Brian's work in.
That very rich collector.
Um,
Much about.
There is a sales option if you want to sell through the site, which is really nice.
wow.
You can customize it a little bit with text if you want to add, text here, which I keep mine really minimal amount of text. And then you have in your gallery, you can create like subfolders. So this is my main gallery work, right? I have paintings, and then I have a section for archives. So I'll show you what it looks like in action.
I have another quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, I guess maybe this would be. So for my work, I feel like there's certain projects that would be well complemented by an explanation that isn't just per picture, but it's like an explanation of the entire gallery.
Yes.
Is that possible to do in there?
Yes.
Oh.
So I have,
Oh, there.
yeah,
Okay.
see, add text before gallery,
Yeah,
add
yeah,
text
yeah.
next to gallery.
Oh, great, okay.
Yeah, so you can explain what a whole project is. You can explain individual projects. I had for a while an artist statement for each project that would come up with the gallery. I took it off because it's like too much. But if for the appearance, it's really, really simple. They tend towards like minimalist kinds of designs. Basics, layout. So they have, when I was saying it's rigid, I mean, it's really rigid. You have like a few very simple choices of layouts.
Oh, cool, okay.
So you can decide, if you want this or this or this. It's not like if you go into Squarespace, like there's so many templates.
So
This is really simple.
for the layouts, are you picking per page or are you picking
The overall thing,
just?
the whole thing, you're like, do I
You
want to
don't
be an
get-
A or a B?
Okay.
And then you can change your, you can change your font, you can change colors within that, but that's one of the things that I really like about it, because I don't want a whole lot of, clutter. I don't want my website to feel really designed. So this is what my website looks like. Super simple. So work.
Now, oh, those are just the options. Got it.
Yeah, so these are cover images. When you hover over it,
Mhm.
you get the title. So just really simple design. I don't have text, I just have titles.
Mhm.
But it's very clean. You don't have to worry about having things be perfectly consistent. It'll kind of scale them correctly within the template. So this is great if you're lazy. And here's.
Can you just switch out templates if you decide you want to try something?
You can switch out templates and all the functions remain the same.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so if you decide, I kind of want to do this as, tiles instead of, like a sort of a vertical scrolling format, boom, you just do it.
And you have it connected to your email.
I created my own, I created a specific email for this that gets rooted in through my email. Most of the stuff that I get through here is like super weird.
Scams.
Then occasionally, like something, it's like either the weirdest email you've ever gotten or the most important email you've ever gotten comes through this channel. There's a Mary Henderson who is like a watercolorist who does so I get emails that are like, I purchased your watercolor of a covered bridge, and I'm wondering if you, I'm like,
And how, this is so dumb, but I'm so bad at technology. Like, how do you connect your domain that you already have to a website like this? Or can I just come to one of you?
It's been so long since I did this that I don't remember.
There's usually a domain section where it usually takes a couple days to switch over. But if you own one domain, but you need it to be forwarded to what this is, you basically put that in, you give her permissions, you have to unlock it. But it's not, it's a little weird for sure. And it takes some time, which is probably the weirdest thing because nothing on the internet takes any time. This does.
Okay.
Yeah, after a couple of days, then it'll switch over. It'll effectively forward it to this and then connect it to the domain. So your URL will actually say, what it should say.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, is there anything else that you want to see on the back end of this? I'm happy to, there's nothing like private here, so I'll click on anything you want.
One-time opportunity.
Yeah.
If you cancel your subscription, can you archive what you got, or is it just disappears from the world?
I think it probably disappears from the world, but I'm not certain because I haven't done it. I've had this for like a very long time.
Most
and I'm really
website
happy.
services, when you kind of discontinue them, the account still exists. Unless you actively delete it, like if you just stop paying. Normally, it just kind of goes into a stasis mode where it stops allowing you to access that domain. And so if you typed in brianchurch.com, it would give you a 404 error, so it does not work. But usually what happens is that information still exists somewhere so that you can pay them more money.
Right. But you couldn't really take, I took my website down and now I shouldn't have done that because now I don't have any organization that I have. It just doesn't make sense.
What software did you use to do it?
I can't remember anymore. Oh, yes, I can. It was WordPress, but WordPress.org. So I can't go with it. It was a mess.
It will still exist.
It will.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might have lost all of the coding and everything, because even just WordPress is terrible, don't use WordPress. I'm like shifting all of the people I work for away from WordPress right now because I hate it. It's just like, I can't wait till it goes out of business. It does not make sense, anything about their platform.
Much like Excel, you can do a lot of things, but
Yeah.
it's infinitely more difficult to do it.
Yeah,
Oh my
so
God.
like your photos and like the
Yeah.
text and everything will still exist. If you want to just kind of like rip it and bring it somewhere else, you'll just have to manually move it.
Right, what about the, I mean, if you stop being the domain, like, someone else can claim it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how you make a lot of money. So if there's like a trend happening or like a startup, you steal their domain before they own it, and then you sell it back to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
So-
you wanted to make a separate shop than the rest of the galleries, like instead of having things available to buy within every gallery, could you make like a separate gallery page that just said like shop and then had new images that were available?
I don't know,
Okay.
because it's so like rigid and specific, I don't know that you can set up like a shop page. You could definitely do an external
And
shop
link to it?
and link to it quite easily. Which is probably how I would do it. I think in Wix, maybe it's more like this is set up specifically for artists and for like, very limited purpose. So, there is the purchase option, but I don't think that that you can, I think it would be difficult to set it up unless you did one gallery. that
Well,
was
that's
just
what I
stuff for-
mean, yeah.
Yeah, you could do that.
Call a gallery shop and
Yes.
then have those ones available.
You could totally
for
do that.
purchase
Yes,
Through PayPal,
yes.
okay.
So should we learn about Squarespace?
Sure. Tara, did you want to do Wix now?
yeah.
Or should I go through Cargo Collective and Squarespace now?
Whichever is your preference. Is that Kathleen who asked that question about the store?
No, Morgan.
Sorry, Morgan. Okay. I can't see people's faces, only voices. And so that's why, my bad. So yeah, it's up to you, because I could talk too about Wix and its store features.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds good, because I don't have any store features that I'm gonna talk about.
Okay.
That could be a lie. We'll
Okay.
see.
If it contributes, I have a website too, and I was gonna do a store through Wix, but I ended up connecting with Big Cartel instead, so if you're interested in that, that's it.
What's that called?
Big Cartel, it's like just an online real estate retailer, but Wix was like trying to charge me a lot more for the shop thing, so. Interested to hear what Kat has to say about it.
All right, yeah, Kara, do you want to share your screen then?
Sure. Let's see.
So Brian, you're like off camera, by the way, just.
Oh, I'm trying to watch this Wix tutorial.
Well, this won't be an in-depth tutorial. I'll just, tell you what I know. Can everyone see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is the homepage of Wix.com. It's Wix.com. I use this particular platform because it was one of the first, after WordPress, I got tired of that and kind of moved to Wix. Wix has a variety of different plans. There is a free version that is available. With the free version, it will have powered by Wix on your website. Okay, so if you don't want to have that on your website, then there's an option for you to pay. So you're basically paying to not do advertising for Wix. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and sign in. And you can connect with either Google, Apple, or Facebook. And so I have two sites here. One is kind of like an older one that's backed up. It's just like in the event that something happens to my main one, which is this, I have something else, you know, here to draw on. Okay. So let's see what else is happening here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click. This is my main one. I have what's called a premium subscription. It's about $20 a month. And every 2 years, I pay for my business email through Google Workspace so that I can have a business email. But the plan that I have, it comes with a store. And so this is what basically the dashboard looks like. It'll show you analytics, like how many people have visited, if you made any sales, orders, subscriptions, things like that. Mine's is always around this. I don't get a lot of traffic on my website, but I will, you know, take you through some of the things that you can do. So you can go to site actions, and it gives you lots of different features. You can rename your website if you want, transfer it to a different, you know, platform if needed. Okay. But actually, I think this over here is more important. So this will take you to different pages on your website. But for what I want to do today, I think I'll just show you how to like kind of edit. And sometimes it takes a minute to load.
It's neat though. Look at that.
Okay. So I like Wix because it's kind of customizable. There are lots of templates that you can choose. Like Mary said, it's similar to Squarespace, lots of different ones that you can use. But this is my homepage in the editor mode. Now, this is what my website looks like without that. Okay. And I usually try to put some news on my desktop, you know, not desktop, but homepage, etc. Picture of my work. But let me go back to the Wix website editor. Okay. All right. So what I like about Wix is that there are a couple of different modes. You have right here your desktop. This is what your website will look like on a desktop computer or a laptop. And this is what your website will look like on a mobile phone. And so they added this feature a few years ago because it's been determined that people are mostly looking at websites on their phone. And so you can set it up to have a different image, which is what I did for that. And so that's, you know, this is just an added feature that I like. Okay. All right, but I'm gonna go back to desktop mode and let me know if I'm going too fast. And I want to say that I don't have a lot of expertise in like web development or anything. This is just the best way to do this is to pick a website or a platform that you like and kind of just kind of test it out, you know. Okay, so.
There's a question. I have a question.
Okay.
So does this also do the hosting? So last time I tried to do a website, I got in trouble because I had WordPress.org and then I had DreamHost for the hosting and then there were all these passwords and it was confusing. So is this the kind of thing where it'll do the software and it'll host like your domain, you pay that $20 and that?
If I can remember correctly, like Mary said, it was a while ago. I think that it does set up a domain for you.
And then you have to pay some other hosting thing or?
Yeah, you have to pay. So there's some fees. So you have to pay for the usage of the domain, your name, whatever you want to name your site, the monthly fee of, you know, keeping your website running. Mm-hmm. If you have a business email or you want like a Google Workspace account to be associated with your website, that costs as well. So it can add up quickly.
But you're not $10.95 or like DreamHost or something outside this. The fee covers that.
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
This is making any sense. 'Cause I
Yeah,
don't know what it is.
I'm also
Yeah.
Googling this.
Yeah,
Um,
when I did my website last time, I created it in WordPress.org, but then I had to pay for my URL, which was like $10 or something in total a year. But then I had to pay like $10.95 a month to DreamHost, who was.
Oh, you mean the hosting
Yeah, the
site?
hosting site.
No, Wix is all
It is a
one.
hosting site.
Yeah.
What about the other?
This is why WordPress is terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
What about other people's pixels? Is that also hosting?
You can do it either way. I was actually, I was on my phone just scrolling through, looking it up, yeah. They have a hosting service possibility. My website already existed. I already had the domain when I
Yeah.
started using other people's pixels, so I did it separately.
Okay.
That to me was the worst part. It was like trying to remember the 3 different places where I had to. Well, password.
Where you had to like update your credit card.
Exactly. Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, and so this over here, this panel, okay, it lets you add different things. Like let's say you want to add some text to your page. It has different headings, fonts, things like that. Same for images. There are some free Wix images you can use, like stock photos if you want. You can connect you can connect also to like Google Photos, Google Drive, Facebook, Instagram as well. And yeah, so there's lots of different, you can add buttons. The gallery is basically how you want your images to look on your website. And so there's different types of templates they have. And you can also manage the different pages on your website. So yeah, now in hindsight, I'm thinking, Mary, the one that you have is a lot simpler, but and so you can actually just go to different, like we're on the homepage now, I can go to about, and there's, an artist's bio. Then I have another page for my artist statements.
This is nice.
And then I have a separate page for my CV. And I was kind of thinking of having this all on one page because I'm constantly kind of redeveloping it. Not constantly, but periodically, I should say. And then I have a page for if there's anything in the news about me, then I'll post it here. So it has lots of different features. Again, if you do use this, it is a little bit more complicated, but it was just, it's one of those things, again, where you just get onto it and just see what they do have templates that are quite easy to follow. And you can also customize, like if you want your background page, for example, to look differently, you can change the page background and it'll just automatically update it like that. Okay. But I don't want to do that. So let me go back. Just have it be white. Okay. Let me see. One other thing I wanted to show you all was a shop. And so the plan that I have has a shop and you can connect it. I used to have an Etsy shop, but I stopped that one. I took mine down. And you click on that. Okay. And it takes you, so I have, shop right here where what I do is I use drop shipping for some of my stuff because I just simply don't have the space in my house to have all of these things. So what it is I use images of my artwork and have them, placed on notebooks or mugs or things like that. I did okay on Etsy. The main thing, if you have a shop, you can sell original artwork or you can sell different prints and things like that. And that's fine. I'm still working on having a shop where I actually sell my original collages. Or you can actually do it in the same shop. So that's this one thing. So now how to get to this is a whole other conversation. But what you can do with Wix is you can connect to what's called a drop shipper. There's one called Printify. Like, let's say that you have a cool art design that you did and you want to put it on a t-shirt. One of those places could help you do it. So there's like Printify is one, Printful is another. I think, there's lots of different ones that you can use. So when I did have an Etsy shop, I connected it to this as well, but there's not, these are like kind of stock images that are on here now. So let me know if this is too much information or not enough, but yeah, so this is basically an overview of how I kind of handle my site. I also have some, a page for I have different kind of portfolios that I kind of, change every once in a while. And hopefully that'll be another topic we can talk about, is how to build a portfolio. So yeah, I think that's about it. Does anyone have any questions in particular about Wix?
Well, I actually have an answer. I looked it up.
Okay.
Hosting on Wix is $15 a year for them to have your domain. But if you sign up for using Wix as your site builder, they waive that fee for the first year. So that is in addition to your normal Wix annual or monthly fee.
I was just looking up for other people's pixels. I just want to clarify. I was confused about the hosting. They are the host. Your domain name, you can you can purchase separately, or you can go through them.
Okay.
So I already have the domain, but yeah, they host.
And that's what you're paying for with the 16.
Yeah, so that includes hosting, does not include the domain name registration, but that's like nothing.
How much control is there about the typography? Because I think that's one of the things that I always found frustrating with the templates. If I wanted to change the typography or something, it was really hard. Do you know?
Yeah, what about the fonts, Kara? Can you like change the fonts around really easily?
Yeah, you can change the fonts around really easily in Wix. Let me go back.
Yeah, I think Wix has a lot more flexibility. You can do a lot more things.
But you could get totally sucked in. And
yeah, I think it just, so you're seeing sort of different options for like, super rigid and like very little work to something that's a lot more flexible.
That's what I like about Wix, is that like, if you're someone who wants just a plug-and-play option where like, I add my images, I add my text, and it's fine, you can have that, there's great templates for that. For you're someone who wants to like literally position your stuff individually and put images in certain spots and make it look like your website, make it feel very individual, it lets you do that too. It just depends on like your learning curve and how much time you want to put into like, building the site out.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And I guess everybody sort of knows what kind of person they are, whether you're the kind of person who wants to just dump it there and have someone else take care of it, or whether you want to carefully curate. And
right. To me, like this is more intimidating. Just because of all the options, then I'm less sure about where to go. Yeah, other people's pixels to me just like, oh, there's only 4 options.
Yeah, I would say pick something that you're definitely comfortable with.
Seems like a rabbit hole.
But there's different fonts you can use if you know.
Yeah, so. Look at that, it says upload font. So you could actually put in your own typefaces if you wanted to, right? Look at that on the bottom.
Yeah.
Theoretically, they would have to be like a web font, there's a web font. So
Right,
it's
right,
font
yeah.
here. So you get yourself like a web font. I did that for a second, but then I just sent it over.
Just like probably more work than it's worth.
It's a little bit of work. But if you want your branding to be like really consistent, you can do that with Wix. And you can like upload web fonts that you purchased and stuff like that to make it really consistent.
Cool. Thanks, Kara.
Yeah.
And then here's Squarespace. So we use Squarespace at DaVinci. Oh my God, there's so much on my screen. Sorry.
We can't see any of it.
Yeah,
So
sorry, I'm
you're
like
good.
dragging stuff around. Yeah, so we use Squarespace for DVAA site. So here's our website. If you've never been on it before, which I hope all of you have. But it's not like the most ideal website in the world, but it works for us, and we've been able to really put way too much information than there's supposed to be on our back end. That we get warnings now about how much is on our back end, that we have to figure out at some point this year. Yeah, it works. So we can have, you have something that's like super extensive like this, where like we have, I don't know, probably 75 of our 200-ish members, like all with their own individual pages with like their own work on it. And then like, obviously, how many years of work do we have archived? I think 7 years of work, 6 or 7 years of our exhibitions. Which like the stuff that we have from 2016 is not as extensive as the stuff we have from like 2012 or not 2012, 2022. Scout Scare, let's pull up Scout Show. So, like you're able to like really build it out that like we have photos from the exhibition of like making it feel like you're walking through it. And then we can put like videos of actual walkthroughs and like Scouts artist talk that we filmed before we knew how to do things on Zoom properly. So this looks like it's not great, but it's there if you want to listen to Scout talk about their work as a very tiny human. And then like we're able to put all these links for press. So it's really like you can really manipulate each page. And it's pretty intuitive. So I'll show you the back end of another site. So this is what it looks like on the front end if you were to just go to Michael's website. So like I broke down his work into a couple of different categories. His photos are also huge, so they take a minute to load. But then once you like click on one of the pages, it will take you to a gallery of his work. And like we're still figuring out what we want to do with his gallery, because preferably there will be a separate page for all of these so you can get more information. But I have a full-time job now, so that hasn't happened yet. But then this is what the back end of his website looks like. And this is basically the back end for all Squarespace sites. It's just the pages will either have more or less. So like for DVAAs, because we have a million things on our back end, this main navigation and then the not linked are like a continuous scroll that you could just keep scrolling for like a full minute at an easy pace. But for Michael, which probably would be similar to most of you who are not galleries, you just have like a smaller breakdown. So like his work, I have it divided up between a couple of different pages based on like what the style of, or context of his paintings are of. And then, what did I actually do? I haven't been on the back end of this in like 6 months. Yeah, so I think I did a section for this. So you can, wait, not a section. I did a gallery. What did I do? Oh yeah, so I did a gallery. So I kind of just like threw in all of the images and then in the description just put the title. If you wanted it to go to a separate page that would have more information, you build out that page separately, and then that link that's right here, you would have that be the page link. So when someone clicked on it, it would divert you over to that separate page. Like I said, it's pretty intuitive. If you wanted to add just one image of Michael's work, you could add a section. So let's say we want to do another image. So do we want it to fill the whole section? Do we want it to have some space on the edges, a little curl on the edges, or like text next to it? So I chose the one with the curves. So there's like, when you click on it, it says like what the section block is titled, and then there's like an edit button or a trash button. So if I wanted to replace this with one of the images I already uploaded 6 months ago, you would just hit replace, and then there's a library, and I could just replace that with like a seascape or something else that's already in there, or you can upload a new one. Which I'm not gonna do because my folders are very messy and I don't want any of you to know that. So yeah, it's pretty easy. Like if you wanted to add anything else, you just kind of like hover, and then you'll see these like, oh wait, that's to adjust it. Oh yeah, you hover, and then there's these like pluses. And then you can choose what you want to put there. So like, let's say, I don't know, we want to put his Instagram. I already have all of his information in there from like another section of his website. So it just like autofills, and like now his Instagram and Facebook and email links are there. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty, like I said, it's pretty easy. I think it's like, I've been switching out, like I said, all my WordPress clients with Squarespace just because it is so easy. That like one of the people I work for is in her 70s. And sometimes she wants to switch out an image, and she has a hard time remembering how to do things on the internet. And she doesn't have an issue with Squarespace that often, which is why I veer towards Squarespace for clients, because I think it's just like such an easy platform. But there's also drawbacks with that, where like you can't get as many customizations as you want, or like if trying to think of like, sometimes we'll have like 5 things and they like won't evenly distribute properly, and you'll have like one random thing that's like way bigger than everything else, even though you want it to be even with everything. And then like the page will just look kind of wonky. And that's just like, you can't really get away from that. Or even like with the image gallery, like we had, I don't know, when you're dealing with like a lot of different logos or something, like we were for the festival, like we kept changing what it looked like, because we would think like one of them would look good with like the image and then text about the organization, but then like someone else had a logo that was a completely different size and format, and then adding the text in for that like covered part of their logo or like looked wonky. So I just feel like some like Squarespace, sometimes you have to like really be open to being malleable in a way that some other websites you don't have to think about it as much. But also, again, I made this 6 months ago and haven't thought about it since. So it also is like, I can just throw up new work when I need to and not think about it, which is really nice. To get over to the domain thing, like I said, I'm transferring people from WordPress. So Michael had a WordPress website, and the domain was through Bluehost as well as the hosting. And we wanted his domain name, and I finally was able to get it from the woman who had bought it under her own personal account, because that's don't do that. If you ever build a website for someone else, don't buy their domain under your personal account. That's a terrible thing.
Unless you want to sell it back to them.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you're trying to make money like Brian is, stealing everyone's URL. Yeah, make a separate account for them. Also, but yeah, so I just did that with Michael's, and it was super easy. So basically Bluehost had it on their end, like a transfer thing, and then on the back end of Squarespace, all I had to do was go to the account page, which should be, where am I? Sorry, I'm so used to our DaVinci one that every time I'm on someone else's now, I'm like, how do I use Squarespace? Here, okay. So to get to the account stuff, you just go to nope, I'm a liar. I don't know what profile this is. Settings. And then domains. And like right now I own both of these, or Michael owns both of these. And this is the one that was just transferred over as the .com one. So even though it just was transferred to Squarespace, it renews on October 10th, 2023, because it was purchased through Bluehost in October 10th, 2021. So, and then Squarespace made us renew it for another year when we transferred it over. That now Squarespace owns it technically, like, because they still own it, like you own it through them. So Squarespace through them owns it till 2023, unless like somehow we transferred it to another website, which I don't plan on doing. But yeah, you just like click the use the domain I own one. If you own it somewhere else, like I use all of mine, I own all of mine through GoDaddy, which is apparently a terrible thing. But I've never had issues with it, so I don't care if it's a terrible thing. Yeah.
And you want to talk about commerce on Squarespace?
Yeah, I don't have commerce for Michael, but I can log into ours and show you the back end of our site. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, like
Okay.
all of the artwork that's we have for sale in the building is also a online store that is hosted through Squarespace. So you can add it to your cart and then purchase it via a credit card or PayPal or whatever. Check out, and then you'll get an email from us with the receipt of that, and then we will figure out a way to ship it to you or coordinate come pick it up. And that's how we run our shop, and equally kind of do similar things. Squarespace is really wonderful if you do own a small business and do sell work. It's probably like optimally, it seems like that's what Squarespace was built for, but works pretty well for artists.
Which is like, but also like, I wanted to pull up Diane's, even though I'm not pulling up her back end, because I'm not pulling up her back end. Because that's why we transferred to Squarespace for her, was because she wanted, we wanted to move her away from Etsy because the fees were getting too high, and she does a lot of online sales. So we built her a Squarespace shop. I think it is like $210 or something a year. It's not that much. The thing that Squarespace gets you with is the mailing list subscription. So like having a shop, like, so Michael's site that I just showed is $144 a year. And I do everything I do annually because I just find that easier than monthly, and you usually save a little bit of money. But I think that to have a shop through Squarespace, if you're not having as big of, oh wait, no, it's probably the same for us too. It's like in the $225 range, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, a shop is not standard, so you have to go up one of the tiers to have commerce capabilities.
Yeah, so the mailing list, because there's tiers for the mailing list too, can add up to another $200. Like for us, we have, I think, the second highest one, and I think we pay about $165 a year extra just for the mailing list. But we're saving money versus what we were spending on MailChimp. So like that's kind of like, at least for me, part of like the decision making that I have done for like my clients as well as myself, and then like for DaVinci, is like really price comparisons of like what we're trying to do versus like the price and what's easiest and like visually appealing. And like for Diane, like the mailing list was cheaper and also was like way easier if she wanted to send out an email versus MailChimp. And they're like cute templates that are like, and you can, because it's through your website, it automatically has like products and stuff. So you can just like if you have artwork or like something for sale that you want to put in your newsletter, it already exists as content on your website and can be pulled into the mailing list. I think I just talked in a circle, but yeah, so like Diane's looks completely different from Michael's, even though this is also built with Squarespace, and hers is a slideshow gallery view. And I have all the information to the left, and like I can just do it in like a timeline slideshow like this, or I can pick like, oh, I know I want to see older work, and like pick one of these dots down here. And then her shop just looks like this. We have it separated out into like what kind of scarves. Her back end is a little easier to manage than ours is, just because it's one artist and it's a lot easier just throwing information. On our end for Da Vinci, I keep saying our end and I'm not gonna stop, I'm sorry. Should I go to commerce?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if we should do it on like the page view or the commerce view. So yeah, it does like pretty easy breakdowns. So this also shows like not just the things, we have not made $3,400 in art sales this month. These are all memberships. I'm pretty sure maybe like one of them is an art sale. So you can see like we have our memberships basically as a digital product, which is really nice that Squarespace has those options too. So like if you were an artist that has like a graphic novel that you want to sell as a PDF, you can sell it as a digital product. And then we don't have ours set up to like send anything when someone purchases a digital product, because it's just like your membership. But you can set it up that way, that if you want it to send them a PDF, or like if you're a sewer that is selling like digital patterns, that can also be sent out when they buy the product, like just automatically, you don't have to think about it.
And NFTs, obviously.
Yeah, you know.
Just go a little blockchain.
So where are our products inventory? This is where it gets kind of messy for us, is just because we have open calls in here. Our artist membership that we're hoping to update to be like real sliding scale. This is like our template that we're showing the board right now, but it's not public yet. Sarah Allen's work that's for sale is all in here. Carol's work, Howard's work. So essentially going back to Airtable, we are able to take all the information that you submit to us through Airtable and digitize that in a CSV file, which is the Airtable form, and then upload it into Squarespace to just show up as products, which is very nice. So if you do spend a lot of time over the next couple of weeks putting everything into Airtable, and then you also want to make a new website, if you use Squarespace, I think that at least if you're making a store out of it, you can just upload it into this.
Technically, yes, but you have to follow a very specific set of formulas in order to do it, which you can download from Squarespace, so that Squarespace knows what to do with each information stored in which cell. And a lot of those cells end up being blank because they're not relevant for everyone. But that is a very, very quick and easy way to mass upload things using a CSV file.
Yeah, and then on the actual like storefront page, obviously we have our shop. All of this, like this is what it looks like on our view, and on your view, it looks like this. And that can all be edited in the section I was showing you earlier in like the pages area, and you can customize things. Fonts are not as easy to edit on Squarespace because you basically come up with a template, and if you are adjusting the template, there's like 4 base fonts that you can play with, but if you adjust it on one page, it will adjust everywhere, because it's just what the website is. which is not my favorite thing, but a lot of the cheaper ones work that way. Yeah, so I don't know, if you want a website in like the $150 to $200 range, it's a good one. An old reliable, that's not that old. Also a lot of podcasts and places give coupons for the first year. So like, I always just, I do the read because I know that that podcast has a coupon and it's very easy for me to remember and I never buy anything from them otherwise. So this is my contribution to them. But yeah, then this is my website, which is through Cargo Collective. Oh wait, does anyone have any other questions of Squarespace?
Should we, I was just, what, should we talk about just like purchasing a domain name? Is everybody clear on that, or do you guys have questions about that process? Okay.
Okay.
Just making sure. We keep referring to it, we didn't actually.
Yeah, so these, I had this open just in case.
Yeah, that was what I,
yeah.
because I saw that.
So like I said, I use GoDaddy. I have 2 domain names because I thought I was gonna be able to go by just Samantha Connors when I was 20. And then there's someone else who already bought everything else with my name other than the domain. And I'm keeping my website from her. So I go by Samantha M. Connors on everything, but I own both. I have both attached to my website. So one redirects. So because I go by Samantha M, that's what is actually linked to my website. But I have SamanthaConnors.com like through GoDaddy redirecting to my actual website. I think the internet is just slow because my website is not big.
Why do you use Cargo Collective for yourself?
Because when I built my website in 2013, it was free, and then the upgraded version was $50. So now their basic one is $69 a year, and their upgraded, or maybe 60, whatever, it's in the 60s somewhere. And then they, for the year subscription is $99. Which again is why I have it still, because it's cheap and I already built it like 10 years ago. So, and it's easy to adjust things. So it's a little less intuitive than Squarespace. I always say this is like the cheap version of Squarespace because a lot of the things are exactly the same, but like not spelled out at all. And like just super simple. So yeah, this is like my actual website. So I just have like a tab, like a hamburger tab right here. And when you click it, it breaks down into like, I have 2 different bodies of work. And then like my about page, CV, and I have a related page that's just like mutual aid things in Philly or like other things in Philly that I like. And I think more people should pay attention to. And if you knew the context of my work, I think that makes sense. So when you're on the other side of it, this is what it opens up into. So like if I click my about page, it will bring me to about, and then there's like text blocks or other things. My God, sorry, the like Zoom thing is gallery is so annoying. So if I wanted to add another text block, I could just hit this because I know it needs a text block. And then there's 3 columns. If I want 2 columns, I just slide it down to 2. If I want 9, I just slide this over to 9. If I want a little more room in between them, I can just up the padding so that it starts typing here instead of there. Yeah, so it's like, it's just pretty easy. And it's also easy because I've been using it for like 10 years. So for me, it's I don't really have to think much about it anymore. But like I wouldn't recommend like build, if someone wanted, if you were building a website for someone else and they wanted to be able to go in and edit it after and they've never used Cargo Collective before, like I probably wouldn't recommend it, but like if you're using it for yourself and you have some time to devote to building your website and you want like a cheap option that looks good, I think Cargo is a really good solution. Also, my website used to look completely different. I just redid it a couple months ago. So I used to have one that was just like white with my name and the different areas and a gallery that was like very bare bone to just like scroll through my work. And then I decided I wanted to mix it up, so I did. But you can have all of these different templates, which is part of the appeal to me also about Cargo, is that there's so many different ways of building a website and like what they look like. And even using the same template as someone else, your website looks completely different from theirs because you can change up the fonts and like do all these different manipulations to make it look cool. And Cargo was also built specifically for artists, which was my selling point when I joined in 2012. Because it was like an invitation only like startup company that you had to already have a site and then you could only recommend like 5 other artists to join. And they used to only have like 8 templates to choose from, and now they have like, I think like over 100. And yeah, like it just like, I think you can have something that looks very simple.
And how much did you say this one was?
100
A year.
a year. So yeah, you can have something.
And it's hosting as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just have to buy your domain. So like I said, like I just buy mine through GoDaddy. I spend like, I think like $20 for each one.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can have something that's kind of just like a list of things. If you want to look at them, you can, or like, I think I'm already on the work page. Or like this one where like, I want to see research, so I can like go down and like hovering, it brings things up. There's just a lot of ways of like manipulating it to look like you did like a lot of fancy code work, but you didn't because it does it for you. So like one of the reasons why I ended up doing like this background on my front page and then like the rest of my site was because I accidentally did it. Yeah, so I accidentally did this and then there was, you can like change it. So it's like moving and stuff. And there's like, I wish I could remember how to do that though.
Don't mess it up.
I know that's a part of it too. I'm like, I don't really want to like ruin my website. Oh yeah, this is how, so you can like have it like rippling or like animated and do like all these things that look like you're like, yeah, like I actually did any work to make it look like this.
Wow.
At all.
That's amazing. Jeez.
And I think that's really cool that you can just kind of like make something look wild. And there, yeah, it's just kind of like you have to click around and like really explore something. Like not something, explore the site to figure out like what you want it to look like. And like there's just like a lot of different ways of changing things up. And that's my little ramble. And then I wanted to plug really quick Heavy Bubble because they're a local company. They're based out of the 1241. The 1241.
I have no idea.
Let me see, 1241 Carpenter Building, a couple blocks away, and they give Da Vinci members a discount of $50 a year for a website with them. So I think all you have to do is reach out to them if you want to build it through them. They have a couple of different packages. So like you can choose between like these couple of gallery views if you designed a website with them. So if you want to just like a bare bones portfolio site from a local company and for not that much money that you can basically just like hand over information to someone and they'll build it for you.
Hmm.
Right now.
No, you do it yourself.
Yeah, do you yourself. I think you can work with them, which is why that's coming out of my mouth, because I know people who don't know how to build a website, but like have them build it for them.
I have to go at 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
This is great. Thank you so much.
thank you.
All have to go.
Yeah, you can use your DaVinci membership to get a website with them for $50 a year.
All right, that wraps it up.
Yay.
Thanks for getting it out. Hope you learned a lot. If you have questions,
Thank you.
feel free to shoot us an email.
Yay.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, thank you.